Okay. So, again, this is our Classic Italy tour, which is September 23rd through 30th, 2026. We have 7 women already registered and 3 spots left available. I know there are a few people registered for the trip on the call today, and then some people who are just interested in learning more. So, welcome everybody. Um, Diving in. So, this tour is a 3 city tour, which means we're going to arrive to Rome. The airport code, if you want to look at flights, is FCO. And then we will depart from Venice, which is VCE. And in between those cities, we will travel by train. In each city, we'll have a 3 to 4 hour guided walking tour and then some free time as well, so that you have the chance to get your bearings, get the history and the culture with our local guides. And then either we'll go to museums, you'll have totally free time, you can shop, and we even have some optional day trips and activities that will be offered as well. So, looking at the overall itinerary, you will arrive to Rome on the trip starts the night of September 23rd with our welcome dinner. If you'd like to arrive a day early, that can absolutely be arranged, and you can stay at the same hotel for that extra night. Most flights from the US, if you want to arrive on the 23rd, will leave the night of the 23rd, sorry, the night of the 22nd, arriving the morning of the 23rd to Rome. You'll have your welcome dinner. The 24th of September, we're going to have our guided tour in the AM. This is going to be a mix of mostly walking and a little bit of the public transit. There are some streetcars and things in Rome that work well. And then you'll have a free afternoon. The following day, the 25th, you'll have a free morning in Rome. And then we'll take the train to Florence. It's about a 2.5 hour train ride, direct. Then in Florence the next day, we will have our AM guided tour. Again, Florence is a hillier city, and so we'll have a little electric kind of like golf carts almost, which we'll use to get around so that you don't have to do all of the walking, but it'll be a mix of walking in these little e-golf carts, we'll call them. And then in the afternoon, we will go to several of the museums, to specifically the Academia Museum, which is where the some of the most famous art and sculptures are. Then we will take the train on the 28th. Sorry, the 27th is your free day. We will organize an optional day trip to a local vineyard. Chianti is the region of wine that is closest to Florence. It's about an hour and 15-minute drive to the vineyards. You'll also have the chance to see a local olive oil farm and do lots of tastings. If you aren't into wine, totally fine. You can just have this free day in Florence to go to more museums, maybe climb up the steps of the Duomo or various other shopping and things like that. The 28th is when we'll take a train in the morning to Venice. Again, it's about a 2.5 hour direct high-speed train. Then we will have our afternoon guided walking and canal gondola boat tour of Venice. Then the 29th is your free day in Venice. There's lots of shopping, things to do and see in Venice, or about a 20-minute boat ride away from the islands of Venice or the islands of Murano, where if you've ever seen the really beautiful hand-blown glass, that's where this is all made in Murano, Italy. So that would be an optional tour. Then you'll have your farewell dinner, and then finally the 30th is departures from Venice. So, digging into what you can expect to see in each city. Our guided tour in Rome is going to include the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, the Trevi Fountain, and the Pantheon. We'll have skip the line tours to all of those places so that we can get in with our guide more quickly. And then we also are going to be staying in the Trastevere region or neighborhood of Rome, which is full of these really cute, small restaurants, shops. It's very quaint. And so you'll have lots of free time to enjoy that, and we'll eat lots of amazing Italian food. Then we will also have free time, like I said. Our hotel is right near Villa Borghese, which is really famous for its gardens, and September is a really nice time to visit where things are still in bloom. It's not as hot as in the summer, so you can actually enjoy being outside. So that would be an option to do in your free time. The other option is to get into the Vatican City and do the Sistine Chapel. We can help arrange tickets for whoever wants to do that as a group. Our recommendation would be to do that on the morning before we take the train to Florence because there's less crowds in the morning. Then when we get to Florence, again, the guided tour is going to see the Duomo from the outside, which you can see the Duomo here in the background. Um, sorry? Oh, okay. Um, so you'll see the Duomo from the outside. If you do want to do the Duomo stair climb up to the top, that's something you could do in your free time as an optional activity. Since it's a lot of stairs, we don't include it in the main guided tour. We'll go to the Mercato Central, and then we'll also cross over the river to the Old Toronto neighborhood, which is where many of the most famous artisan quarters are. Florence is especially known for its leather goods, and many of the big ateliers and like Italian fashion brands still have the shops where, or the workshops where they make their leather goods here in Florence. And so we'll go explore that artisan quarter a bit. That afternoon, we will have the tickets to Academia to see Michelangelo's David and a lot of the other artwork in Academia. In your free day, if you wanted to explore more museums, there is no lack. There's the Uffizi Gallery as well, which is something that a lot of people choose to visit. And then, as I said, on the free day, you'll have that optional tour to Chianti to do the wine and olive oil tastings. We would organize all of your transportation, your guide, everything for that day. It's just that we know some people are not into wine or as much of a foodie gastronomy person. And so rather than make everybody do that activity, we like to give this day as optional to do that, or optional if you're someone who just wants to explore, shop, go to museums, you can spend that day however you like. Then in Venice, we will have again a guided walking tour of the main areas. So St. Mark's Basilica, the Rialto Bridge, Doge's Palace, as well as taking a gondola ride through the canals. Our hotel is right on a canal, which makes it so that you don't even have to go very far to experience being right on the water. And then you'll have that free day again to wander. Venice is a place where you could wander, and part of the fun of Venice is just like getting lost and then finding yourself in this really cute area and then sort of making your way back across all of the bridges and through all of the canals. So there's plenty to do without going to Murano, but if you are interested, again, we'll arrange transportation for whichever group wants to go to Murano, and
I
then
don't have that.
Murano is
Oh.
the other area that is right next to Murano. It's two separate sets of islands. Murano has lots of colorful, very ancient houses, and Murano is where all of the glassmaking takes place. So that would be your optional activity. And then finally, you will depart from Venice. We'll be staying in the islands of Venice. There's also mainland Venice. The airport is on the mainland, so it's about a 45-minute taxi, water taxi, to get from the place that we are staying in Venice to the airport. So our recommendation for flights is not to book something too early out of Venice, ideally flying out after 9 a.m. That way, you'd only have to get up at 5:30, 6 a.m. If you book a flight at like 6 a.m., you're probably having to wake up at like 2:30 or 3 a.m. in order to make it to the Venice airport on time. Your private airport transfers on arrival and departure are always included as part of the trip. Going over accommodations, so we're staying at three boutique four-star properties: the River Palace Hotel in Rome, the Grand Hotel Baglioni in Florence, which you can see the rooftop view from here, and then Hotel San Cassiano in Venice, which is a really nice hotel right on one of the larger canal waterways. So then pricing and inclusions. The price for the trip is 6,245 USD. That includes a single occupancy room, so your own private room at our 4 and 5 star hotels, the daily breakfast and dinner. Lunch is included all days but the free day in Florence and the free day in Venice. We don't include lunches those days because everyone's going to be doing their own thing and we don't want to force everybody to have to meet up in the middle of the day to have lunch. But the other lunches on the guided tour days are included, and your meals are always a la carte. So you order what you want off the menu. You don't have to eat a set dish that everybody dines together. And then all of the tours, the activities, the entrance fees, the taxes, and the tips are all included. What is not included is your international airfare, since we have women traveling from already the US and Canada. And oftentimes people are joining from all different regions of North America, so we don't book your airfare in that price. But if you want assistance reserving flights, we can help. Travel insurance. Right now, there's no visa for US and Canadian citizens, but there is potentially going to be what's called an electronic transit authorization in place by September of 2026. It's unlikely that it will be launched by then, but it is possible. That will be for all of the EU, all EU countries. So if the visa is in place, that is expected to be about a €10 charge, so 12 US dollars, and that would not be included. And then lunches on the free day and any personal spending money is not included. Um, some common FAQs. So this time of the year, at the end of September, the weather should be lots of sun in the 70s, down into the 50s in the evening. So it's good to bring a light jacket, but overall, it's a great time of year to explore. Most of the big crowds from July and August have gone home, but it's still warm enough to enjoy being outside. The activity level for this trip is moderate. You can expect on the guided walking days between 2 and 4 miles of walking at a pretty leisurely pace. We do just want to note that Italy is a very ancient place, so there are a lot of uneven surfaces, cobblestones, stairs, etc. So making sure that you feel comfortable walking on uneven surfaces unassisted. And then finally, like I said, there's no visa at the moment, but that could potentially change. We would let people know registered for the trip what the process is to get a visa if that is something that's required by September of this year. So finally, I will end screen sharing and take any questions people have. So feel free to, yeah, come off mute and ask questions or put them in the chat. Cynthia.
When I signed up, it had a little note saying there could be an optional trip offered after. I
So,
haven't heard anything about
yeah,
that, so I haven't booked a flight or anything because
yeah.
I was waiting to see what was happening with that.
So we were considering doing an optional extension up to Lake Garda, so a little bit further north, kind of central Italy, where some of the lakes are. We didn't have a ton of people reach out about wanting to extend the trip, so we haven't really planned anything officially. I'm happy to send you an email about what we were thinking, and then if it's interesting to you, we're happy to assist with that. If you're like, meh, no, it's okay, that's also fine. And then obviously the other option is if you wanted an extra day or two in Venice, for example, you could always book extra days at our same hotel. And so we could extend your stay by a day or two at the beginning in Rome or a day or two at the end in Venice if you wanted to explore on your own just those cities more.
I was thinking possibly maybe going to other parts of Italy after the
Yeah.
trip. So I haven't booked anything or
Yep.
done enough homework on it yet, but I will.
Um, no problem. Yeah, I would say for flights, my recommendation would be to book probably April, May is a good time frame. You're going to be close enough that, flights will not be, if you book like too far in advance, they can be really expensive. But if you wait until, July, they'll also get more expensive. So I would say like April, May, even June, would be the sweet spot for booking your flights. Any other questions?
Hi, this is Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
I heard you mention like there's optional kind of like side quests.
Yes.
Is there fees associated with those, and will we get an email about which ones and how much?
Yeah, so what we do is 90 days before the trip, once we're all settled with the final number of travelers, we'll have a trip info session call just for you and the other travelers booked on the trip, and we'll go over each of those optional activities and the fees associated. The fees will depend a little bit on the size of the group going, but we'll give you a range at the 90-day mark to say, hey, we think it'll be between, like $100 and $150 for the day trip to Chianti for the wine tasting or something like that. And then we'll get a head count on who wants to do that activity and then tell you, okay, great, based on 4 people going of the 10 travelers, that's going to be $130 per person or something like that. So we'll provide the extra cost for those activities at the 90-day mark, as well as getting the head count for who wants to attend.
Okay, and then I had a second question. Since we're kind of hopping around so much, is like a carry-on okay, or is it better to have like a backpack?
So a carry-on is totally fine. I would just recommend I would not recommend a checked bag if you can manage it. I think a roller carry-on bag is ideal, and then either like a crossbody purse or a backpack, something that you're going to take just for when we are doing our guided walking tours, etc. Is our recommendation. Something keeping in mind just that you want a bag that is light enough that you can lift it yourself on and off of train platforms and things like that. We'll take taxis between the hotels and the train station, so it's not like you have to walk, a mile lugging your suitcase around, but you do need to be able to go through the train station, put the, bag on the train, take the bag off the train, on your own. So that's the main thing for the size of luggage.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions? Um, I'm happy to stay on the line for as long as we
Oops.
have. Oh, yeah, Cheryl.
How large is the group size
Yeah,
again?
it's a
You may,
maximum of 10 women, so
okay,
10 travelers, and then
okay.
we will have 2 trip hosts who are staff members from Women Travel Abroad accompanying the group as well. So the whole group will end up being 12 people, or up to 12 people. Right now we have 7 women registered and 2 trip hosts along with them.
That's a great size.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, we try to keep it small so that we can actually do things instead of spending more time herding cats instead of, when you get like 15, 20, 30 people, it's more time on logistics than it is seeing the country that you're
Sure.
exploring. Other questions? So I'll just share for those who aren't booked on the trip yet and are considering it a little bit about the process for registration. You'll get an email from me shortly after this call with a link to this recording as well as a link to the registration page. The registration page will take you through some demographic questions, name, address, things like that. And then there's a $400 deposit to reserve your spot on the trip that's collected there on our website. There are 2 options. You can either register and pay the deposit and then make monthly installment payments, $400 a month in the lead up to the trip, or you can get a small 3% discount if you want to pay in full for the trip up front. If you do the payment plan, the balance payment is due 90 days prior to travel. So that puts us, call it June 23rd of 2026 would be when the full amount is due. But in the subsequent months, if you registered in February, you'd pay the $400 now, then March 1st, you'd pay 400, April 1st, 400, etc. That way you can break up the payments over the course of several months. And again, the registration is done pretty much all on our website, but if you prefer, you'll get my phone number and you can always call me and I can walk you through the registration over the phone if that's easier for folks. So, awesome. Well, any other questions? Otherwise, like I said, you'll get a follow-up email, and then I'm always happy to jump on a call one-on-one if you're interested in talking more about the trip or any questions that come up as you think about it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Catherine.
All right.
Thank you so
Charlotte.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a
Bye,
good day.
everybody.
You too. Sure, Tom.